Welcome back. Today I'll tell you about dramatic thriller from 2021 based on true events called The Mad Women's Ball. The film begins with a girl, Eugenie, attending a farewell ceremony for the great writer Victor Hugo, with whom she manages to speak. Late for family dinner, Eugenie apologizes to her father and tells him that she has been visiting her friend, Josephine. Her brother Theophile doesn't believe her and only smiles. Before going to bed, Eugenie goes to the bathroom holding a candle. Suddenly, she has a seizure and hears something and talks to someone, but when she sees her grandmother at the door, she quickly comes to her senses. In the morning, Theo goes to a debate where girls have no place. These are meetings organized by prominent figures in French society who discuss literature, science, and even politics. The brother sees his sister in a carriage, but the girl is not going to the meeting, but only asks her brother to take her to a cafe where she can quietly read a book and smoke so that none of her relatives will notice her. Theo cannot refuse his beloved sister and agrees. In the cafe, the girl enjoys the atmosphere and from time to time looks at the young man at the neighboring table. Noticing this, the stranger approaches the girl uninvited. He thinks the girl likes him, but Eugenie explains that she was attracted to his book. He happily lends her the Book of Spirits, writing his name on the first page, and arranges to meet again to return the book. Before going to bed, Eugenie reads a book about spirits and tells her brother that she met a young man, while Theo puts his head in his sister's lap and listens with pleasure as she reads. The next day, when visiting her brother's fiancée, Eugenie speaks disrespectfully to her, greatly upsetting her father, for whom this family is very important. One day, Eugenie and Theo climb into the attic to get Christmas decorations for Christmas tree. At this point, the girl has another attack, after which she confesses to her brother that she sees spirits and hears them. Eugenie is very close to Theo and asks him not to be frightened because the book she is reading says that there are many people like her, but her brother doesn't believe her. One evening, while getting her grandmother ready for bed, Eugenie suddenly stops and starts emptying a drawer in her closet, and moments later pulls out a pendant, a gift from her grandpa that grandma thought had been stolen years ago. The girl admits to her grandma that her departed grandpa told her about it. In the morning, after waking up beloved daughter, anxious mother asks her not to hurt her brother's fiancé because today they're going to visit them again. Noticing the tears in her mother's eyes, Eugenie hurries to hug her mother, unaware of what awaits her. Sitting in the carriage, Eugenie notices a bag in her father's feet and realizes that they are going to a completely different place. Looking out the window, the girl sees mentally ill women and finally understands everything, but it no longer matters. The carriage stops at the gate of a mental asylum for women. It turns out that it was Theo who told her father about her sister's strange behavior. Eugenie cannot believe that this is happening to her. She pleads with her brother and father, saying that she is not mad, but they refuse to listen. The brother blames himself for what happened, and his self-loathing makes him feel sick. The head of the family, without any regret, signs the document agreeing to the forced treatment of his daughter. A few hours later, head nurse Genevieve examines the shivering girl and immediately warns her that any disobedience is followed by punishment, solitary confinement, and that her future fate will be determined by the head doctor. Eugenie is led into a communal bedroom with women of all ages, most of whom behave very strangely, some smiling all the time and some trying to touch the new patient. Fortunately, Louise comes to the girl's rescue. The kind and cheerful girl also has something wrong with her mental state. Louise is constantly saying something, telling Eugenie that she will soon marry a young doctor named Jules and that she is very much looking forward to the annual costume ball held at the clinic for the rich and the official. During dinner, Louise talks enthusiastically about the local residents and their diagnosis of illness. She confesses that she was sent here by her aunt after seeing her husband forcefully deprive a young girl of her honor. The first night is very difficult for Eugenie, and she hardly sleeps. In the morning, she watches as the head nurse takes Louise somewhere, and from their conversation it becomes clear that this is a regular practice. Doctors gather in the hall, including the same Jules. The head doctor introduces Louise as a patient suffering from acute symptomatic hysteria. The head doctor of the hospital, Dr. Charcot, who invented the Charcot shower, conducts a session of hypnosis. The girl falls to the floor, but the doctor simply steps over her and leaves, saying goodbye to everyone until the next seance. Louise regains consciousness in a special room and sees Dr. Jules in front of her, who has come to check on her. The doctor sends Genevieve away and tells the naive Louise that he will propose to her at a costume ball. The doctor then thrusts one hand under the girl's dress and with the other hand grabs his snake. On her break, Genevieve runs home to have lunch with her elderly father and share with him the latest news from the clinic. Back at work, Genevieve visits the newbie. Suddenly, Eugenie begins speaking to the nurse on behalf of Blandine, her dead sister. The woman doesn't believe what is happening and orders the girl to shut up immediately. In the morning, after examining the patient, the doctor prescribes Eugenie a special therapy. The girl is placed in a bathtub filled with cold water and ice cubes. One evening, having followed the nurse, Theo catches up with her. He confesses that he is very sorry for what he has done and asks Genevieve to help by giving to Eugenie a book. After a while, the nurse tells Eugenie about her meeting with her brother, but agrees to give the book only on one condition. The girl has to establish a connection with the spirit and help sisters to talk. One night, a nurse brings a patient into her office to contact her dead sister. Eugenie has been unable to contact the deceased for a long time, but then she succeeds. The dead sister's spirit informs her that their father suddenly became very ill. Frightened, Genevieve runs home and finds a handkerchief with a bloodstain and her father having a seizure. When he asks how his daughter found out about what happened, Genevieve reluctantly tells him about the ritual, but all she hears in response is criticism and censure. After another hypnotherapy session, Louise loses sensitivity in her legs and one arm. Seeing Louise in this condition, Eugenie tells the doctors everything she thinks about them and their treatment methods, using the harshest words she knows. Considering the girl dangerous, she is transferred to a ward run by a stern djinn. Eugenie finds herself in a dark room where food is passed through a window at the bottom of the door, and the only shutters are rarely and briefly opened. The main purpose of this room is to finally break the will of the sick. One day, when Jean once again comes to taunt Eugenie, the girl tells the warder that she communicates with Jean's dead mother and knows her secret. Unable to control her emotions, Jean grabs the girl by the throat and releases her a second before she loses consciousness. After stealing Jean's keys, Genevieve secretly comes to the ward and promises Eugenie that she will help her get out of the clinic. On the same day, a nurse convinces Dr. Charkot that the patient has finally lost her will and is no longer dangerous. The doctor believes and agrees to transfer the girl back to the communal ward, where everyone is already preparing for the upcoming ball. Eugenie sees Louise in a wheelchair, but the girl doesn't lose heart. She looks forward to the moment when Jules makes her a proposal and she is finally truly happy. At night, from under her nightgown, Eugenie finds a note that Genevieve secretly gave her during the day. Theo also receives an envelope with a note and an invitation to an evening ball. The event is about to begin. Wealthy and influential guests arrive at the clinic to have fun with the mentally ill patients. Theo also arrives at the clinic. He quickly finds his sister and asks her to dance. Jean suspects that they are in cahoots with Genevieve and keeps a close eye on them. In the midst of the fun, some guests simply chat with the women, while others treat patients to strong drinks and think only about their dirty fantasies. While everyone is having fun, Genevieve manages to bring Eugenie and her brother into her office, change the girl into men's clothes, and almost walk with them to the exit. Meanwhile, Jules' overwhelming desire makes him take a chair with Louise and bring it to the empty office, where he tells the girl that their so-called engagement is about to take place. The scoundrel topples her on the table and takes what he has long dreamed of. At that moment, one of the patients, who has lived here for 25 years for avenging her husband's adultery, bursts into the office, and in the midst of the event, the old woman kicks the doctor's most important body part. Jean notices the disappearance of a patient and her brother. She rushes out in search of them, and having spotted the fugitives in the corridor, she tries to detain them, but Genevieve manages to lead the couple out of the gate where a carriage awaits them. Genevieve herself decides to lock the gate on the other side and remains on the clinic grounds, refusing to run away with Eugenie. Sometime later, Genevieve receives a letter in which Eugenie writes that she is free and happy living far away from everyone and no longer hiding her abilities, helping those in need. Genevieve reads the letter with a smile while sitting on a park bench in the clinic. But even though she is no longer a nurse but a patient, her spirit is free.